Welcome to 1 Million Cups Peoria. How many people are here for the first time? I thought I saw a couple. Thank you for coming. Welcome. So for those of you who've never been here, this is 1 Million Cups. And what we have are inventors and startups and nonprofits, people who come in and talk for 6 minutes, and then we have Q&A afterwards. So this week, well, I better tell you the other stuff first. See, I knew I was going to do it. Okay, upcoming events. Key Start happened last Thursday, and the winner was Shelf, so that's awesome. There's going to be another pitch competition in June, and applications are due by June 15th. So what that is it's new businesses who want to pitch their idea for a $5,000 investment. It's really awesome. If you don't want to pitch, you can come to the event. It was really awesome, seriously. So there's going to be pictures and videos online of that. And then, of course, our sponsors are IdeaBox. IdeaBox is, if I can find it here, IdeaBox helps organizations create consistent branding through graphic design, video production, website development, event coordination, and online marketing. Their team combines art and technology with a passion to think differently. You can also plug in with us on Twitter and Facebook. We're on both, or you can follow any one of the organizers, which Randon and Tori are not here, but I'm here, so you can follow me. And the sign was provided by my company, Technocraft, so get that little plug in there. So this week, we have Dr. May Gilliland, and she is going to be telling us about Sculpture Walk Peoria, which the inauguration is going to be this Saturday, so this is perfect timing. So, May, yes, you're up.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'm sorry, we weren't able to get the display to work. I had lots of pretty pictures of sculptures for you, so this means that you just have to go see the sculptures yourselves on the street. So we'll just go from there. All right, so how many of you, has anyone not heard of Sculpture Walk Peoria? Okay, so a few of you haven't. So what I'll do here is just go over a very brief history since we only have a few minutes, and then we'll talk a little bit about what our plans are for the opening weekend and then moving forward. So just to give you a very, very brief history, all of this started with the vision of several people in Peoria. One of them is sitting in the room right here, Stacy Peterson. Also, Joe Ritchie, who is the owner of Tri-City Machines, and he is the chair of our committee for Sculpture Walk. And he was visiting Sioux Falls, and he saw their Sculpture Walk. And he was inspired by this idea of a creative economy. So what he saw there were these sculptures on the street and people coming to it just to see the sculptures. And he wanted to bring that back to Peoria. Unfortunately, the year for this was 2008, and as we all remember what 2008 was like, Peoria, as far as our economy went at the time, was not ready to support something like that. So fast forward a few years, and what you had was a Peoria that was ready to have public art on the streets. And so he went to the Downtown Advisory Committee, and a steering committee was formed, which Stacy was also a part of. And they went to the public and they pitched this idea to them. How many of you were at that event when they pitched the original Sculpture Walk idea? Were any of you there? That was at the Maxim building. It was spectacular. The electricity in the room as all of these plans were being announced for Peoria was unbelievable, but they had a problem. They needed to have a funding base. They weren't a 501c3, so they needed to have a way to basically get the money to get these sculptures out there. So at that point, they teamed up with Arts Partners of Central Illinois. And that is how our partnership was formed. So Sculpture Walk Peoria is now part of Arts Partners of Central Illinois. And we began fundraising like crazy at that point. So when I joined the team, it was in October. They had already been well underway with it. And we had a goal for the first year to get 10 sculptures on the streets of Peoria. That meant having 10 charter sponsors. And each charter sponsor would give $10,000. And if you were a charter sponsor, you were committing to getting a sculpture on the streets of Peoria for 3 years. Give me 1 second here, my computer just restarted. So you are committing to getting sculptures on the streets of Peoria for 3 years at a time. So for instance, if you were a charter sponsor in 2015, then you are committing to be a sponsor for 2016 and 2017. So what we tried to do was build in sustainability into our plan for Sculpture Walk Peoria, because you can start an idea off, the first year can be great, but then it can kind of peter out. So we've already built the sustainability for this end. So we definitely will have 15 sculptures along Washington Street for at least the next 3 years, but we already have interest in 2016 charter sponsors, so we're moving along very quickly. So, the purpose of Sculpture Walk Peoria. We're trying to create an economy that is based on creativity, on the arts. And it's one of those things where if you can have businesses here, you can have successful businesses, but if you don't have a creative economy, if you don't have an arts culture that is available, then you're not going to look great to those who are looking around the region. Where do we want to live? Where do we want to work? This is something that we're trying to do. We're trying to actually make the scene here in Peoria. And this is part of one of just many initiatives. We're trying to transform the warehouse district. We want to make it friendly for bicycles, for walking, for running, for music, and for art. So we're changing the face of the warehouse district. The unique thing about Sculpture Walk Peoria is that it is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So what that means is that this is free public art that is available to everyone at all times, and that is what makes this unique. So that you can come here as a visitor just driving through town, and all of a sudden you see these grand 15 sculptures going down town Peoria, and stop and look at them. We have guided tours that will be starting at the Riverfront Museum every Saturday at 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. So there are educational opportunities there as well, and all of the sculptures are available for purchase. We didn't want to stop there. We wanted to collaborate with people as well here in the community, because that is part of our sustainability. So we paired up with people like the Park District. We're teaming up with District 150. We're doing a lot of education initiatives. We already have some of those coloring pages for kids that are available online through our online resources. We're coming up with an education booklet. We have a pamphlet that you can grab on the walk. So as you're going down the walk, there will be little stations where you can grab a brochure, learn about the sculptures, grab a little activity booklet for the kids that are with you, and you have an entire experience for any age. So we're providing a unique experience. We're a little different from other sculpture walks. We're quite different from other sculpture walks. We are not only concentrating on working with businesses, and I'll mention the Shelf app in just a moment because that's a key part of this as well, but we're also providing a unique experience for the artists. When they arrive here this week, they're going to be greeted by hosts here from Peoria. We want to show them what Peoria is all about. So they're going to be guiding them through Peoria, taking them to First Friday, providing them with their meals, helping them find their way around. We want them to tell other artists about the great experience they had here at Sculpture Walk Peoria. So let me talk very quickly, and then we can go to questions about what's happening on Saturday. So on Washington Street from Liberty to State, it will be closed off, and it will turn into a pedestrian mall. And you can come along and walk the tour. There will be guided tours. Artists will actually be there, and you can ask them questions. You can interact with them. We will have activities for kids as well, so if you have families, please bring them along. They're more than welcome. And the Shelf app that was mentioned, we're incorporating that as well. And so what you can do is, as you go by each of the sculptures, you can collect a virtual trophy. And once you collect those trophies, you get a coupon or some kind of a prize. And we're looking for more businesses to collaborate with on that. But it's actually taking that technology and allowing people to go down to the sculptures, have that interactive experience, enjoy the businesses that are in downtown Peoria, hopefully stop at the different places. So after I believe there's an art exhibit opening Saturday night here. Is that right? Yep, okay. So you can go to the Sculpture Walk opening, and then you can come straight back here and enjoy an art exhibit opening. There are so many things going on, and this is just one of those. We still need some volunteers. If you'd like to, you can go to sculpturewalkpeoria.org and sign up through Volunteer Hub. We would love to have anyone else who is interested in being a part of Sculpture Walk, either later on this year or going on into 2016 to be a part of our team. You can please like us on Facebook. That's where we're doing most of our updates. You can go to @SculptPeoria on Twitter. We're using the hashtag SculptPeoria because not only are we bringing sculptures to Peoria, but we're transforming it from within as well. And one other quick note, I can't show this to you unfortunately, but we have developed an interactive map. We have a Google map. So if you go to our website, you can zoom in on Google Map and then click on each sculpture spot, and it shows you pictures of the sculpture. So even if you're in New York City and you're interested to see what's going on in the streets of Peoria, you can click on that sculpture and see what it looks like. It is absolutely fantastic. Okay, so I think my time is well up, so I will open it up for questions now. Yes?
Are they all local artists?
No, they're from all over America. We actually opened this up internationally. It's interesting because when we went through the jurying process, we really weren't quite sure who would apply. But we had so many applicants. Several of them are local artists, Fisher Stoltz being one of them. But the jurying process there was no preference given to local artists. It just so happens we have lots of really good sculptors in the area. So some of them are local, but some of them are not.
So did you say it's between Liberty and State?
Mm-hmm. And so those are the first 15. So we had a plan to get 10 sculptures on the streets of Peoria in our first year, and we were actually able to get 15. We have 30 sites approved, which means that we now have filled half of the city's approved sites for sculptures already in our first year. And we did this we've never done this before. This is the first time we tried to do it, and this is the amount of faith and excitement that Peoria has had in this project. Yes?
Give me an idea if I was going to take the sculpture walk. I won't be able to make it, but what am I missing? What type of sculpture? Is it just a person standing up, or if it's a design of some sort? Or
What kind of sculptures will we have? So that's the other thing. We have a variety of sculptures. So some of them are metal, some of them are extremely tall, 14 feet tall. We have one sculpture called Living Sculpture, which actually has sedum, living plants, all around the sculpture. And that sedum will be growing on the sculpture year-round. Nicole Beck has a sculpture called Foxgloves and Fists, and it is covered in different pieces of cut colored glass. So we have a variety of materials being used as well. Yes?
Okay, so every business or enterprise is faced with funding issues.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm curious, since you're not a 501c3 and there's no immediate direct impact to those who are contributing to help support it, how do you go and encourage backers to front that amount of money to participate?
So let me go back a little bit. So we actually are part of Arts Partners. We're an initiative of Arts Partners, and they're a 501c3. So it is a tax-deductible donation to Sculpture Walk. We are part of Arts Partners of Central Illinois, and they are a 501c3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you had said something earlier on that you weren't.
And that was the problem, is that they weren't at first, and they needed to have that option, and so that is why they teamed up with Arts Partners.
All right, so there is a tax benefit, but how did you present the beyond that as a benefit to?
So charter sponsors are going to be on all of our literature. They are all over our website. Everything we do, we mention our sponsors. We have charter sponsors, we have site sponsors, so there are different levels that you can give. We give you access to the artists. You get certain benefits if you are, for whatever level of sponsorship you have. Some of them are in-kind donors. Some of them have actually, handed the money over, whatever, but they are, part of the benefit is being a part of this inaugural sculpture walk this year. You have your name on a plaque or your logo on a plaque that is right next to the sculpture as well. So it's being a part of the community, it's supporting something, and it's getting your name or your business's logo out there for everyone to see. Yeah.
A lot of the Chow studios are right in that area too. Are you doing any direct tie-ins with the First Friday events?
So we are going to be working closely with the community as the year goes on. This is something that is going on all year round. And so we have several ideas and visions. I mean, we're really just trying to get through this very first opening. But throughout the year, we will be working along with other area artists, other area initiatives. One of the theater groups in the area is actually going to do sculpture improv, and so they're going to bring students out and have them stand next to the sculpture and be the sculpture. And they're going to do this big public event for that. And yes, we are looking to collaborate, obviously. For First Fridays, we are right there. We are hoping to have extra walks during that time. We have people who are being trained as guides to take them through the sculpture walk as well. And yeah, and so one of the other things to note here is that when you look at that map that we have on our Google, on our page, the Google map that is on our website, we show the permanent sculptures that are actually in the area as well. And that is part of, for instance, for my educational brochure, I mentioned a few of the permanent sculptures, the Richard Pryor sculpture being one of them, so that the kids who are on this walk get to learn a little bit more about the other sculptures that they're seeing. So they're looking at the permanent sculptures, the ones that are staying here in Peoria, and they're also looking at the sculptures that will revolve out after this first year. We're already expanding. We're already looking to expand. I mean, as you've seen, East Peoria was inspired by this, and now they're looking to have their own sculpture walk and their own sculpture park. Things are happening all over the area as a result of this. And so as we continue to grow, this Google map will continue to grow with the little dots you can click on and see what sculptures are there. Yes?
Will there be food next to the...
There'll be restaurants.
The success you want, add food to it, and should there be push cards or any type of...
On that day, no, on the day of the opening, right, no, on the day of the opening, we will be having the activities. We will not have food there that day, but what we're hoping people will do is we're encouraging people then to go to the local restaurants that are so close by. And that's what we'll be doing. We'll be collaborating with those areas. We've already talked to some of the area restaurants. We'll be collaborating with them to give people incentives to go to those businesses after they've visited the sculpture walk. Yeah.
They already started installing them, or what they?
Some of them have, yeah. One in particular has been installed. Over the next few days, they will be installing the sculptures. If you happen to see it, feel free to watch. Stand back just a little bit because there's a lot of heavy equipment involved in all of this. But yeah, so they'll be installed over the next few days, with the last sculptures being installed on Saturday morning. Yes?
Can you talk a little bit about the process of working with the city and the approved sites?
So I wasn't really a part of the process of talking to the city. Stacy was actually more a part of that. Do you want to answer that question?
So, in 2008, there were Tiger II grant funds, 1 and 2 grant funds that were released to completely renovate all of Washington Street, basically. Out of this, there was a group called the Washington Street Advisory Group that formed, and it was comprised of stakeholders who either worked in the area or had a stake in the area. And this money was released from a federal level, and it was designed to redo the infrastructure of the warehouse district. At that time, from Caterpillar headquarters all the way down Adams Street, 4 corridors were designated. Central Business District, which ends at the portal sculpture. We are in the heart of the warehouse district, and so on and so forth. So when that was done, the team, I was one of the stakeholders on the team, we decided, wouldn't it be great to have spots for public art? So if you actually look down, you can see certain little cutouts all the way down the street that were specifically designed for public art. And Joe Ritchie was also in that group. He wasn't a stakeholder, but he would come to some of the public events. So when Joe saw the sculpture walks that were so successful, he immediately thought, I want to get my hands on those pads that are being designated for public art. Well, at that time, I was at the Downtown Advisory Commission, and he approached us and said, I have an idea, I want to do a sculpture walk, and I'd like to use these pads, how do I do it? And at the time, we didn't have a public arts commission. We do now to deal with these kind of situations. But Joe actually had to go through the assistant city manager, Chris Setti, and then it had to go through city council. And then the city not only approved those spots for Sculpture Walk Peoria, but then Joe presented other possible spots in the event that this continues to grow all over the city. And then the city approved those spots as well. So Megan spoke in reference to that when she said, we've used half of the spots already that have been approved by the city. So now that kind of changed the model, because now if somebody wants to do a public art initiative, the first place they would go would be either the Downtown Advisory Commission or the Public Arts Advisory Commission. They in turn would then refer their recommendations to council, and then the decision would be made by the council.
And so this allows us at some point then, if we need to look at having more sculpture sites, we can do that as well and grow beyond those original 30 that we had identified. And we're obviously hoping to do that over the next few years. Yep.
Did the artists have to pay to participate?
So there's a call for entry. So there's a website called callforentry.org, and you basically the way this works is that you usually charge a small fee so that when you apply, you actually are getting someone who is serious about applying. There's going to be a People's Choice Award, and the only time you can vote for that by paper ballot will be on the 6th, on Saturday. And I do have brochures up here about it as well if you want to grab that before you go. But otherwise, you can vote through SurveyMonkey just by going to our website. And the sculptor who wins that wins a cash prize as well. So the incentive for them to come here, and it's interesting because some of these artists are professionally go to sculpture walks and they rent out their sculptures for the year and then they move along. But what we're hoping is that people would be interested in actually purchasing these sculptures because every single one of them is for sale and keeping some of those here in Peoria or in the Peoria area.
One
Yep.
more question. Who holds the liability? What if there's vandalism or damage to sculpture walls?
So we've had to work through the insurance side of that quite extensively. We've worked, it's obviously Sculpture Walk Peoria itself and also Arts Partners, which they're the same thing, but yeah. Yeah, so it's Arts Partners. Yes.
Has Caterpillar gotten directly involved in this initiative?
They're not directly involved at this point, no. But they do have a matching grants program. So many of our donors use that matching grants program so that when they donated the money, Caterpillar matched that amount, and that was passed along to us. So, and at the end of the day, actually, we did receive quite a bit of money through that matching grants program, which is fantastic. Yeah. Yes.
So we know that we can volunteer Saturday.
Yes.
And there's also slots still for Friday, correct? Or are those
I
filled?
think there are. I haven't checked since this morning, but there are definitely, having people down on the streets. What we want to do is when people come through and see this, they're not just looking at the sculptures, they're not just talking to the artists. This is representing the city as a whole. And so we're really looking for those who are interested in selling Peoria, and this is part of what we're doing, and so many other initiatives are doing that also. If you're interested in helping out, if you feel that you could be of help to us in the future, we would love to talk to you. We have a small team right now who is working on getting this weekend going, and they have worked tirelessly to get this off the ground. And we would love to have more talented people from Peoria involved in this initiative as we enter into Sculpture Walk 2016. Yes?
So what else can we do to help you then, besides that?
Come and talk to us. Yeah, so be there that weekend. We have some brochures. Please go onto social media, if you're on Facebook or Twitter, and tell people about it. We really would love to have, our hope is to fill the streets of Peoria that day and have everyone down there. So go out there, tell people about the event, invite them to it, and then keep coming back. Watch, because we're doing other events as we go, as we move forward in the future. So it doesn't end on Saturday. In fact, that's when it just begins. So if you know an educator and they might be interested in having an education booklet where they could take their camp group or their school group down to Sculpture Walk, or an arts group that might be interested in having a guided tour, come along, let us know, talk to us about it. You can go to our website and email us very easily through there.
Well, thank you for coming. Everybody, drink the coffee.
Yes. All right. Thank you.